It has been 62 years since Gilligan's Island first ran aground on CBS. Across 3 seasons and 98 episodes, the show was abruptly canceled in 1967 without a single finale. The castaways were never rescued on screen, but off-screen, they embarked on long, turbulent journeys of their own. There is a shocking fact confirmed by actress Tina Louise in 2025. The entire cast received only around $1,500 per episode and never earned a single cent in residuals from decades of reruns over the past 60 years. Hundreds of millions of dollars in global rerun revenue never reached the pockets of the people who brought the show to life. 1. Bob Denver, the soul of the deserted island and its quiet guardian. In the history of American television, few characters have been as clumsy, mischievous, yet beloved as the sailor Gilligan. Behind this enduring cultural icon was Bob Denver, born in 1935. At the age of 29, donning the signature red shirt and white hat, Denver did more than just play a role. He created a pop culture symbol that would endure for decades, until his passing in 2005 at the age of 70. Career: a turning point born from someone else's mistake. Interestingly, Bob Denver was not the first choice for this iconic role. The producers initially offered the part to Jerry Van Dyke, who bluntly refused, calling a show about people stranded on a deserted island ridiculous. Van Dyke instead chose to star in My Mother the Car, a project later universally panned by critics. He would later bitterly admit that declining Gilligan's Island was the biggest mistake of his career. Van Dyke's refusal opened the door for Bob Denver to step aboard the SS Minnow, transforming Gilligan into a legend no one could replace. Personality: a warrior for fairness. Contrary to the bumbling, accident-prone character on screen, Bob Denver was decisive, compassionate, and fiercely principled in real life. He became the staunchest advocate for his fellow cast members' rights. In the early seasons, the opening theme only listed 5 main characters, leaving Russell Johnson, the professor, and Dawn Wells, Mary, and lumped together as and the rest. Finding this injustice unacceptable, Denver personally demanded that CBS include their names in the opening credits. He even leveraged his star power, insisting that he would not sign his contract again without this correction. Later years: peace after the storm of fame. In his later years, Bob Denver withdrew from Hollywood's glare to embrace tranquility in West Virginia. There, he and his second wife, Dreama, ran a small radio station, WGLP. Though his career remained forever cast in the shadow of Gilligan, Denver never expressed resentment or complaint. He accepted his fate with gratitude, knowing he had brought joy to millions. Bob Denver left this world not as a haughty star, but as a beloved friend to every American household, a man who lived a life of decency both on screen and off. 2. Dawn Wells, the girl next door, and the paradox of generosity. Among the castaways aboard the SS Minnow, Dawn Wells arrived like a refreshing breeze from the American Midwest. Born in 1938 and crowned Miss Nevada, she was the youngest of the women on the island. While Ginger Grant embodied the glamour and extravagance of Hollywood, Dawn Wells' Mary and Summers represented warmth, sincerity, and grounded practicality. A girl next door anyone would want as a friend. On screen, the classic debate: Ginger or Mary Ann? Mary Ann was more than the island's cook or caretaker. She was the glue that held everyone together through kindness and boundless optimism. Her simple beauty, marked by a tied-up shirt and denim shorts, sparked a cultural debate in America that lasted for more than half a century. Ginger or Mary Ann? While Ginger represented the allure of extravagance, Mary Ann was the woman audiences wanted to build a life with. Polls over the decades consistently favored Mary Ann, proving that sincerity often carries more magnetism than superficial glamour. Off-screen, dedication and financial shadows. In real life, Dawn Wells was the keeper of the show's legacy. She tirelessly connected with fans, traveling long distances for autograph sessions, cultural fairs, and running her own acting school. She treated her audience as family and devoted her life to maintaining Mary Ann's positive image. Yet behind that radiant smile was a harsh reality. In her later years, Dawn faced mounting financial struggles due to high medical costs and risky investments, a common tragedy for stars of her era who never received generous royalties like today's performers. Final chapter: farewell in the arms of her fans. In 2018, the media reported a shocking event. Her manager had to set up a public fundraising campaign to help Mary and cover debts and living expenses. In a short time, thousands of fans, people who had grown up laughing along with her, responded with overwhelming generosity. Yet fate called her name in late 2020, when Dawn Wells passed away at the age of 82 from complications of the COVID-19 pandemic. The woman who seemed the safest and most stable on the deserted island spent her final years relying on the love and support of the very audience she had devoted her heart to. Her passing closed a chapter that was both sorrowful and profoundly heartwarming, a testament to the bond between a star and her public. 3. Tina Louise, the glamorous muse and the refusal of the island legacy. Among the cast of Gilligan's Island, Tina Louise embodied all that was glittering and glamorous about 1960s Hollywood. With her fiery red hair and lavish evening gowns, worn regardless of the harsh island conditions, her character, Ginger Grant, became the ultimate symbol of deadly allure. Born in 1934 and now in 2026 at the age of 92, Tina Louise stands as the last surviving member of the original main cast, a singular living witness to a television era long past. The choice: a stage-trained actress adrift in comedy. Unlike her enthusiastic colleagues, Tina Louise's relationship with the show was marked by inner conflict. Trained as a serious stage actress in New York, she always viewed the role of Ginger as a temporary stepping stone, a paycheck role, before moving on to more refined, dramatic film work. She often felt frustrated that her character had been reduced to a walking ornament, existing solely to serve absurd comedic situations. Because of this dissatisfaction, Tina Louise was the only original cast member to steadfastly refuse participation in all reunion specials or projects since 1978. For her, returning to the island was not an act of nostalgia, but a step backward in the artistic career she sought to cultivate. Present day, tranquility and financial shadows. At 92, having stepped away from the spotlight and the pitfalls of Hollywood, Tina Louise has chosen a peaceful life in New York. Rather than dwelling on past fame, she dedicates her energy to running literacy programs for children in public schools, using her influence to plant seeds of knowledge for future generations. Yet her distance from the show also reflects a harsher reality: the economic system of television at the time. Tina courageously revealed the meager pay she received, only about $1,500 per episode, with no residuals despite thousands of reruns over 50 years. Her dissatisfaction was not merely the ego of an artist. It was a protest against the systemic exploitation of actors during that era. Tina Louise approaches age 92 with quiet pride. She may be the last survivor of the SS Minnow, but she is also the only one who dared to step off that island to redefine her own worth, refusing to be forever boxed into Ginger Grant's sequin gown. 4. Natalie Schafer, the glamorous, lovey, and the secrets of a true millionairess. In the world of Gilligan's Island, the character Eunice Lovey Howell appears as a vain socialite, a high society lady who brings her wardrobe of evening gowns and elaborate hats to a deserted island. This role was entrusted to Natalie Schafer, an actress with a naturally aristocratic presence. Yet behind her gentle smile and witty lines about wealthy living, Natalie held secrets and a business acumen that commanded admiration from anyone who knew the truth. The Age Secret, a remarkable rejuvenation on camera. Natalie Schafer was a master at managing her public image. For decades, she confidently told the public and filmmakers that she was born in 1912. Her poise and well-maintained appearance left no room for doubt. However, the truth only emerged after her passing. Natalie was actually born in 1900. This means that when filming began in 1964, she was 64 years old, not 52 as everyone had believed. The stamina and energy she brought to the character Lovey during grueling shoots in jungles and on beaches stand as a testament to the vitality of a woman well into her 60s. Real wealth, when art was only part of an empire. In stark contrast to her colleagues, many of whom struggled with meager pay and the instability of acting, Natalie Schafer lived a truly affluent life. She did not rely solely on her Hollywood paycheck. Instead, she was a savvy and discreet real estate investor. By acquiring prime properties in Los Angeles early on, she amassed an impressive fortune. When she passed away in 1991 at the age of 90, Natalie left behind a will that moved Hollywood. She donated over $1.5 million to the Motion Picture and Television Country House and Hospital, an organization supporting elderly and struggling actors. The most fascinating aspect of this story is the deeply human paradox. The woman who played a fictional millionaire stranded on an island with valueless suitcases was herself a genuine millionaire, using her real money to create a lifeline for less fortunate colleagues. Natalie Schafer did more than portray Mrs. Howell. She lived a life even more dazzling and meaningful than any script could have written. 5. Alan Hale Jr., the captain and the big-hearted soul of everyday life. If Gilligan was the mischievous soul of the island, then Captain Jonas Grummy, affectionately known as the skipper, was the steadfast anchor for the entire stranded crew. The role of the big, gruff but tender-hearted captain was played by Alan Hale Jr., born in 1921. Across 3 seasons of the show and decades of reruns, Alan Hale Jr. did more than perform a role. He poured his soul into the character so fully that the public almost forgot his real name, remembering only the skipper, the protector who was always ready to safeguard his shipmates. Immersion, when the character steps off screen. Few actors in Hollywood have cherished and embraced a typecast role as Alan Hale Jr. did. Instead of struggling to escape the shadow of Skipper in search of dramatic, edgy roles, he chose to live proudly with it. After the show ended, he opened a famous seafood restaurant in Hollywood called Alan Hale's Lobster Barrel. What delighted and astonished patrons the most was that the owner himself would often appear in full skipper attire, donning the captain's hat and warmly greeting every guest as if they had just disembarked from the SS Minnow. For Alan, the skipper was not a mask to make money. He was part of his very being, a kindred spirit he wanted to share with everyone. Personality, warmth radiating from screen to real life. Colleagues who worked with Alan Hale Jr. consistently spoke of him with admiration. They described him as a man whose heart was as enormous as his physical frame. He was a beacon of positive energy, keeping the cast's spirits alive during grueling shoots under the blazing California sun. Even when facing physical pain in his later years from thyroid cancer, Alan maintained his radiant smile and optimistic spirit. He passed away in 1990 at the age of 68, leaving a profound void in the hearts of fans. His ashes were scattered over the Pacific Ocean, the place the skipper truly belonged. Alan Hale Jr. demonstrated that a great actor does not need to play hundreds of roles. Sometimes, playing a single role with complete sincerity and love is enough to become immortal in the memories of generations. The skipper has reached his final port, yet Alan's generous spirit continues to shine as a lighthouse for all who cherish the adventurous journey on Gilligan's Island. 6. Jim Backus, the innocent tycoon and the monumental legacy of a master of expression. Among the cast of Gilligan's Island, Jim Backus carried the greatest star power. When the project was still on paper, CBS paid a record-breaking salary to secure him for the role of billionaire Thurston Howell III. Born in 1913, Jim Backus arrived on the island already a celebrated Hollywood star, known for voicing the legendary cartoon character Mr. Magoo and portraying James Dean's timid father in the classic film Rebel Without a Cause. His presence guaranteed not only exceptional acting, but also an air of genuine sophistication to the sitcom. Acting, the balance of power and compassion. Backus's portrayal of Thurston Howell III is a masterclass in both physical and psychological acting. Rather than playing the stereotypical haughty, greedy, or disdainful millionaire common in scripts of that era, Bacchus transformed Howl into a grown-up child. Innocent, somewhat detached from the harsh realities of poverty, yet overflowing with love. Draped in silk pajamas and wielding a cane amidst the jungle, Howl's attire was not for show, but rather the only world he truly knew. His gentle naivete served as the moral center of the island. Despite constantly talking about money, Thurston Howell III never abandoned his fellow castaways and always treated his wife, Lovey, with unwavering respect. Final years, the quiet struggle and the passing of an icon. Entering the 1980s, as age advanced, Jim Backus faced the harsh challenge of Parkinson's disease. The cruel illness gradually robbed him of control over a body famed for nimble gestures, but it could not extinguish his passion for the craft. He continued to participate in Gilligan's Island reunion projects as long as his health allowed, a tribute to the audience who had embraced him for decades. Jim Backus passed away in 1989 at the age of 76 from complications of pneumonia and Parkinson's disease. He left behind a monumental legacy of over 600 roles spanning radio, animation, film, and television. The man who once brought piles of money to a deserted island ultimately proved that the true value of a person lies not in their bank account, but in their ability to bring laughter and warmth to humanity through immortal characters. Jim Backus did not merely play a millionaire. He enriched the hearts of generations of viewers with his extraordinary talent. 7. Russell Johnson, the professor, a polymath and a hero forged in fire. In the world of Gilligan's Island, the character Professor Roy Hinckley symbolizes pure intellect, a man who could build a radio out of a coconut shell or explosives from island sulfur. This role was brought to life by Russell Johnson, born in 1924. In stark contrast to his calm, scholarly on-screen persona, Russell Johnson led one of the most extraordinary and rugged real-life lives among the cast, a life forged through the smoke and fire of actual warfare. War hero, Steel Wings, and the Purple Heart. Before entering Hollywood, Russell served as a courageous pilot in the United States Marine Corps during World War II. He flew 34 perilous combat missions across the Pacific Theater. In 1945, a harrowing incident occurred when his plane was shot down and crashed into the sea near the Philippines. Russell miraculously survived the catastrophic crash, though he suffered fractures in both legs. For his bravery and selfless service, he was awarded the Purple Heart and numerous other military honors. Experiencing death up close in the vast Pacific likely instilled in him the serene composure that became his trademark as the shipwrecked professor on screen. Philosophy, intelligence, and the limits of human capability. The professor character was often humorously questioned by fans. How could he invent such complex contraptions but never manage to patch a hole in the SS Minnow? Russell Johnson always received this teasing with a knowing smile. As a seasoned combat veteran, he understood deeply that theoretical intelligence alone is sometimes insufficient without practical resources and the hand of fate. He never attempted to turn the professor into a superhero. Instead, he portrayed a patient, conscientious human being striving to use knowledge to maintain hope for everyone stranded with him. Legacy, the peaceful passing of a legend. Russell Johnson passed away in 2014 at the age of 89 from natural causes at his home in Washington. He was among the last surviving members of the legendary 7 Castaways. His departure was not only the loss of a talented actor, but also a farewell to an exemplary representative of the greatest generation, those who helped shape the modern world through intellect, sacrifice, and courage. Russell Johnson demonstrated that a truly great man does not need to fix every ship. He is the one who keeps the flame of hope burning brightly in the hearts of his companions, whether stranded on a deserted island or facing the fiercest battles life throws at him. Special guests, stars who shone bright from a deserted island. Beyond the legendary 7 Castaways, Gilligan's Island also welcomed special guest stars, actors whose appearances at the time were brief, like an introductory musical note, but who would later become irreplaceable icons in the history of world cinema. This deserted island inadvertently became a nursery for extraordinary talent and a stage for some of Hollywood's most dazzling personalities. Kurt Russell, the Jungle Boy, and the journey to superstar. Few could have guessed that the action superstar of Escape from New York and The Thing had his first notable screen appearance on Gilligan's Island at the age of 13. In the first season, young Kurt Russell portrayed Jungle Boy, a wild, innocent character who communicated only through strange sounds. The image of the little boy in a loincloth, running and leaping through the jungle alongside Gilligan, remains a priceless memory. Who could have predicted that this small, cherubic-faced boy would grow up to become one of Hollywood's most enduring symbols of masculinity and power, with a dazzling career spanning more than half a century? Zsa Zsa Gabor, glamour amidst the wilderness. If Ginger Grant represented the island's inherent allure, then Zsa Zsa Gabor's 1965 appearance elevated the definition of luxury to an entirely new level. The Hungarian-born star, renowned for her extravagant lifestyle and record 9 marriages, brought her signature glamour to the show. She played a countess who accidentally found herself stranded on the island, creating a sparkling clash with the Howell couple's high society elegance. With her unmistakable voice and unshakable aristocratic poise, Gabor proved that even on an island without electricity or plumbing, a true star can shine brilliantly and transform her surroundings into a spectacle of sophistication. Richard Kiel, the giant before Jaws. Before terrifying audiences worldwide as Jaws in the James Bond series, towering actor Richard Kiel made a memorable guest appearance on Gilligan's Island. Standing at 7 feet 2 inches, 2.18 meters, he played a menacing Russian agent, yet his interactions with the bumbling Gilligan produced unforgettable comedic moments. This role showcased not only Kiel's imposing physical presence, but also his versatility as an actor. From a giant on a slapstick comedy island, he leapt directly into the pantheon of cinema's most legendary villains. The appearances of these special guests are a testament to the enduring allure of Gilligan's Island. The island was not only a repository of laughter, but also a launching pad for legendary careers, creating a vibrant, unexpected chapter in the history of American television. Conclusion: a life sentence on a paradise island and the legacy of kindness. When the 7 castaways walked out of the Burbank studio in 1967, they could hardly have imagined that they had just completed a show that would never end. In the illusory world of television, the deserted island was nothing more than painted backdrops and plastic banana trees, yet the harsh contracts that bound their lives were a far more unforgiving reality. For over 60 years, generations of audiences have continued to chuckle at a classic paradox. Why could the brilliant professor invent a coconut radio or a lemon-powered battery, yet remain powerless before a simple hole in the SS Minnow? Yet the true tragedy of Gilligan's Island was not the endlessly broken ship. It lay in a far harsher reality. The actors who dedicated their entire lives to creating laughter for millions of families were not given what they truly deserved for their effort and impact. In an era when royalties for reruns were a luxury beyond reach, they watched their own likenesses generate enormous profits for media conglomerates, while they themselves struggled with medical bills and financial hardship in their later years. Gilligan may never have left the island on screen, but in real life, the 7 actors accomplished a far greater escape. They rose above the limits of modest paychecks to leave behind an invaluable legacy of kindness, resilience, and deep camaraderie. They embraced being forever associated with a single role in order to become familiar, cherished companions in the living rooms of countless households. The island may have been a dreamlike prison, yet the spirit of the 7 castaways roamed freely in the hearts of fans, proving that an artist's true worth lies not in the thickness of their wallet, but in the immortality of the joy they have sown across the world.